Hello to one and all, um, and welcome to today's webinar. A warm welcome. Actually, I won't say a warm welcome because here in the north of India, it's pretty warm already. Anyway, it's going to be an exciting session today, and I cannot wait to introduce our panelists to you all. My name is Shivam, and I'm from ZapScale. We are the easiest and fastest customer success platform for B2B SaaS organizations. Today, we are presenting how to excel as a first-time customer success leader. And of course, the first few days as a new CS leader can be challenging. I mean, you're transforming from being an individual contributor to managing a team. You've got new responsibilities. You need to learn and trust and respect your team, and you're likely to be faced with new processes and tools. Which is why today I'm joined by two very special guests who have tons of valuable insights to share on the topic. Our first guest is Mausmi, who is the co-founder and COO of ZapScale. Mausmi is a two-time SaaS founder who built, scaled, and sold her first SaaS startup, ThreatSolve. Mausmi is a skilled professional in business planning, customer success, and operations. And she is now building ZapScale, which is a customer success platform to make customer success 10 times easier for SaaS businesses. Our special guest for today is Raman Bindra. Raman is a results-driven professional who has more than a decade of experience in customer success and account management. Presently working as a CS director at Recruiterflow, Raman has vast experience in building processes from scratch to maintain long-lasting relationships with customers. Thank you for joining us, Raman, and I cannot wait for you to take over the discussion, but would just like to cover a few things for the audience so they know how to participate in today's session. Please feel free to ask any questions during the webinar from our panelists. You can type your questions into the Q&A box in the Zoom control panel. If you have anything else to say, any comment, you can type it in the chat box. If you prefer speaking than asking questions via text, please raise your hand and I will let you to speak and ask questions from Mausmi and Raman. And this webinar is being recorded, so if you do miss any part of it, you can watch it again on ZapScale's YouTube channel. I will put the link in the chat box shortly. Now, let's get the customer success professionals to the stage. Over to you guys.
Hi, everyone, and welcome, Raman. Welcome to this webinar. Before I begin, the reason why we are doing this, and yes, somebody just wrote in the chat channel, it's a burning question. Yes, a lot of people are being promoted to first-time CS leaders. A lot of companies are getting aware. And there's not much of clarity as to what a CS leader is supposed to do. And there is a path that, all of us have to carve ourselves. And why I am speaking because I have set up CS teams in a startup, in my own startup, in previous company, grew it. And post acquisition, I was also involved, or I was also the leader of setting up global CS team for like a large company. So I have an experience of startup to global. Raman has experience of doing this multiple times. And I'm looking forward to all that experience pouring into this next 1 hour. It's his webinar, and of course I will chime in with whatever my experiences are, and we both will try to answer as many questions as we can. So please feel free. The more interactions, the better the discussions. So Raman, we need to hear all your mistakes and all your problems that you've had in your career, because good stories are easy to come by, but the mistakes, the problems, the challenges are hard to come by. And I think those are the things through which we will learn most.
That's correct. And, a big hello to everyone on the panel, as well as the people who have joined us. Thank you for, giving us your precious time for this webinar. And definitely really excited to share my insights, because I know that everyone does talk about a lot on the positive side of, things that should be done. But a very few people have kind of talked about things that shouldn't be done, or while they were doing the right thing, they really faced issues. So how did they overcome that? And, kind of understanding that, yes, mistakes can be made by people. So how do we ensure that after a mistake is made in the transition, what should be done and how we should overcome? And that's the sign of a true leader. And when you fall down, you stand up with more efficiency and more accuracy to overcome challenges. So yeah, let's begin this webinar and let's chime in on this one.
All right then, Raman, let's start. Congratulations.
Cool.
Congratulations, Raman.
So this is something that, when every one of us would have received at any point all the time, right? That, hey, congratulations, you have been appointed as a director of customer success, or you have been promoted as director of customer success. Even when you're looking out for new jobs from a manager, you have been, taken a new role as director of customer success, gives you an elated feeling, right? You're like,
Yeah.
wow, I have achieved something, I've done something big. I am the D level guy in the organization. I'm the director now, and you feel so elated, you're excited, you're roaming here and there, and you're like, wow, and if you talk casually, like, I've attained nirvana, that I've done something really big, I've achieved it. So right now you have been appointed, you're just enjoying this moment. And then as soon as you kind of hit the very day, the first day of your work, what would really come to you? Let's see.
So the
Cool.
high
So
and the lows, you have that high, and the first day you come to your office, what have I gotten myself into?
exactly, so as you were getting a lot of positive feelings around, and again, please put your comments in the comment box that the people who have kind of, went to a senior leadership role, did you kind of got these questions the very first week when you started in those positions that, hey, customers are churning and, customers are ghosting me? These are from your team leaders, your team, the CS team. And then from the leadership, the churn is there, ARR, NRR, what's going on? We need to work on this. This is burning. Collaboration is not happening. So many questions. And you suddenly, as Mausmi has really pointed out well, you're like, am I even at the right place? What have I gotten myself into? I was so happy 2 days back. Sunday was awesome, partying with my friends about this new position. And suddenly, why am I stuck here, right? So again, have you guys faced this or not? I personally have faced it. When I remember I joined, these were the barrages of questions
Yeah.
hit me on my face. And I then kind of, thought of that amazing insight from Spider-Man that with great power comes great responsibilities. But here, responsibilities are like shooting us like crazy. So now you have been, kind of poured with so many questions. What do you do? So let's jump to the next slide,
Yeah,
Mausmi.
I have faced almost similar. When you start, it's like everybody thinks a savior has come and let's all dump our problems on top of this person's head. And it's really overwhelming.
That's
So let's
correct.
go on, Raman.
Cool. So I guess as I was discussing that a lot of people are running behind you, looking at you as the savior. What do you need to do? Firstly, breathe, relax. It's okay, and it's a normal thing that's going to happen to anyone who is at a senior position because they are looking up to this person to help them overcome their issues and also set certain things or align certain things. So you need to just breathe and don't just rush on thriving wherein you need to do everything right on the very first day. Firstly, survive. When I say survive, think through, think through of all the problems that are being raised to you and how closely are they impacting the actual business. That's where it is going to make you understand what has to be done. Now, while you are actually, breathing, you also need to be attentive while you breathe, right? So you need to observe and absorb. When I say observe, you need to be attentive to a 360 level, wherein you are understanding that people who are coming with you with issues, customer issues, product issues, revenue specific issues, what's actually going on, how the customers are being actually dealt with, how the organization has inculcated the customer centric culture internally, how people are well communicating with each other. Is it all blame game running here and there, or is it a solution mindset that people are trying to come together to help, but nothing is coming out as concrete? So you just observe and absorb how people are really trying to overcome these problems, and don't overthink at this point of time. And yes, to not try to be a superhero has happened with me personally. So if I just spend a couple of minutes on one of the biggest mistakes that I had made when I had joined an organization at a senior level, and it was a big senior level for me. What happened was that again I was under the same impression that a lot of issues are coming up. Now with my baggage of my previous experience in my previous companies, I would want to kind of ensure that I try to make it similar to what it was in my previous company because it was working really well. And I thought that these are problems I dealt with it previously. I can do it here as well. But there was a difference with the way I was dealing with the problems. Earlier, the problems were my portfolio specific problems. Now the problem is related to the company altogether, which is that the entire company's accounts would have a problem, which means that any decision that I would be making is going to impact the entire organization's customers, not a specific portfolio. So as a human being, I can't just rush through and do it, in terms of taking the right decisions every time. There would be faults. So don't try to be a superhero, which I tried and I've kind of faltered really badly there, is that you firstly understand when we kind of say breathe, absorb, observe, and understand. That's where you understand that even the minutest of issue that you're going to solve with your decision-making power, what is the level of impact it will have? And are you willing to take that right now, or this can wait in terms of your priority? So that's where you don't try to be a superhero and make things right the very first day. Take a stance back, prioritize things, understand the impact of every decision that you're going to make, which is going to have, on the organization. And Mausmi, it would be great if you could chime in because you have kind of, set up two companies and you would have gone through this. So what has been your experience in these three points?
I think, Raman, there's a certain kind of pressure when you join as a leader, right? And in that pressure, everybody is expecting you to do magic, and you are yourself. You also have to prove to yourself that I am at this position and I can really do this. Like when I, when my company got acquired, and I was heading customer success at a global level, and there were like 6 products and 800 customers. It was overwhelming, frankly, for me, because I had not handled such a huge scale. I had a team of like 100 people across 40 different countries. That itself was a massive scale. Plus, they were integrating 3 different companies. So they acquired 3 different companies, and all 3 had to come and work together. And I had to work with, this new dynamics of team, and it was really overwhelming. And there was this need for me to prove to the entire team that I am good enough. And I think that is something that happens with everyone. And in my team, there were a lot of people who were older than me. So
Correct.
that creates additional pressure, right? Because I was there because of my experience, but there were others in other teams who have been into certain work and they've done that all their life. So they're good at what they do, but I am their boss. So
Correct.
it was a challenging time. And the need for stopping yourself to not try to be a superhero and to not try to prove things through magic, because the moment you try, you will fall flat.
That's correct.
You will create incorrect expectations. You will fall flat on your face, because then the expectation will be that something magical will correct everything in 5 days. Absolutely not possible. And it's very important to understand so many things. New team dynamics, you don't know that. New products, you don't know that. They may have very different way of working. The entire business, like you said, the customer centric culture and what it is and how it functions. So there are
Correct.
so many things that you don't know. And if you try to do something very quickly, you might really end up really hampering your own future.
No, that's true. And that's the reason, people say Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what matters is that while you are taking decisions and there are implications surrounding it, how well do you kind of stop yourself emotionally to say that, hey, let's take a step back, evaluate, monitor, and then take decisions? That's the essence of making right decisions. Again, I am still saying that even if you do this, there is a possibility you end up, taking a decision that might not work as expected. That's okay. You completely are okay in that. That's the reason you own up to your own mistakes. Is that you need to be confident. Firstly, that okay, fine, we planned to do this, it didn't work out. The only essence of portraying this is that how much are you data oriented in owning up your mistakes, which means that when you are talking to leadership, you need to tell them that this was your expectation with the present data. How much is it kind of, going way off the expectation? And what are the learnings that you have taken from this particular action of yours that could help evaluate, recalibrate, and take a decision likewise to ensure we kind of overcome this situation again. Because I personally feel this is a very good essence of being a leader and also being at a senior level. Because when we are at a level which is not that senior, there is a guy whom we are looking up to.
Yes.
And we know that if I do something wrong, that guy is going to be there to help me out. And now, today, you are that guy. You are in his or her footsteps. So now people are looking up to you. You can't go and say that, hey, person ABC didn't perform, so we are behind.
Mm.
It doesn't work. The entire team moves forward with you because everyone looks up to you. So you stand up confidently and say that, yeah, we as a team were working on it. Didn't work out. These are our learnings. We calibrate. We are going to do this again. Timeline of this is ABC. How? But this is the best way to go about it because it would also give confidence in your own team members to look up to you.
Also, if your boss used to do that and blame you, this is the time not to do the same things.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, that's the reason, you have to be humble, like we were talking, that ego has to be thrown in a trash can. Agreed that you have a great position. You are sitting with leadership day in and day out. You are in those so-called strategic meetings, and it gives you a good high that, hey, I am a part of a very big thing here. But don't forget that people are looking up to you, and people who really want to learn from you to be there someday, the position at which you are. So listen to everyone, be a friend, because as a leader, you're also a mentor to people. Don't forget.
Mentor.
So
Yes.
you have to inculcate those mentorship skills wherein you be the friend of your, respective CSMs. But again, when I say friend, you can draw the boundaries wherever you want to. But when I say friend, be that ear for them when they are in stress with work, be the ear for them when they are getting stuck. And also, it's not just restricted to your own team. There are other team members as well in the organization who might want to talk to you. And you can't say that, hey, I'm not available. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Sometimes you have to go to the ground level work as well. And that shows the humbleness because people know that he knows his roots. When I say his roots, he knows the ground level work in terms of
Correct.
product, in terms of issues, in terms of understanding processes from the scratch. And he can build the correct processes for us to grow and scale. That's where being humble is very, very important in such kind of a designation.
Also, in a new job, when you've joined, there could be people who are reporting to you who
Correct.
would have worked in that business, in that product for many years, right? And they would know at least their job inside out. And these could be, if you're humble, if you let go of your ego, give them the kind of respect you need, these could be your strongest ally because they would know exactly what the problems of the business are. So that, that letting go of your ego, that, I'm the boss, that is so
Exactly.
important.
And there is no harm in saying, I don't know, or, can you help me? It's okay to ask for help, even if you are, at this position and you kind of accept that things can't be fixed overnight. Is the next perspective here as well. That, as I was saying earlier about Mosham's comments, that Rome was not built in one day. All the issues can't be fixed overnight. You have to be practical in nature. That one day you act as director, in 1 week you're fixing one thing, in the other week it's a process that needs to evolve. It keeps evolving, and you have to make or you have to agree to that emotionally for yourself as well as for the team, that okay, these are the level of problems that we are going to fix, but prioritize those problems. Don't just go out and fix
Absolutely.
everything at any time, because it's not going to help you kind of scale things. They would be then short-term bandages fix that you end up doing, which is not scalable. And if it doesn't work, it is going to have bad repercussions as compared to doing things in a calm manner, in a much more thoughtful way of firstly analyzing the entire situation, thinking the impact of this particular problem from an organization perspective, and then shortlisting it to put your efforts in fixing it. And again,
Absolutely.
don't rush to fix it in a day. Even when you are going with that solution mindset, think through. I have done that again in the past. Trust me, when I jumped to this senior position, I knew that there were again problems, and I thought, oh wow, these problems I can, because I have faced this in my past organization, I can fix it in a week. And I would give a timeline that, hey, I'll just put in a perfect streamlined process of customer cadence calls in a week. It didn't happen. Why? What I undercounted was, not every customer is ready to hear you or get on a call with you and fix these things right away. and I kind of bombarded on my time. So again, the learning from that was that I had to mend my ways and say that, Raman, things are not going to fix. Give a realistic timeline. It's good that you want to showcase that as a director, you can change everything, but those take their own time. So set realistic expectations with your management, even with your team, that, okay, fine, these top things we are going to work. This is the plan to move towards it. And this is how I would need everyone's help as well. Don't say that I am Mr. Do It All. You need to take help from everyone so that you're fixing the things in the correct way with everyone's agreement. And yes, don't assume. Please don't assume the worst and don't assume anything. Assumption is your biggest enemy.
Did I disconnect?
No, you are connected, but the deck, we cannot see your screen.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a network issue at my place, I think. I'm so sorry. Sorry for breaking your rhythm.
No. Again, cannot be a superhero.
Yeah, I'm trying to, just give me a second. I'll just get it up. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I think there's some problem with the network at my end. Okay, we're good, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh, things can't be fixed overnight.
Exactly. And we are owning up to the mistakes as well. Correct. So I was just mentioning about don't assume. So assumption is your biggest enemy. Don't assume things, because I guess one important skill as a CS leader that you would want to have is being data oriented. Every decision, every thought process has to be data oriented. And I saw Ankit's question as well, that what are the top 3 skills that you require as a CS leader. Ankit, the first very important skill that I personally feel is important. Definitely the 2 others will come as we go. But the very first thing that I would want to mention here is being data oriented. You have to have data, so that which is backing up your thought process, which is backing up your, understanding around the problems. And then you sharing the same with the leadership to tell them that this is the current state. And with this information and research, this is how I plan to scale. But if we just shoot arrows in the dark, trust me, you're not going to hit the bullseye. You're going to hit your leadership only by those arrows.
You will end up solving problems for the person who shouts the most,
Exactly.
which may not be the most important problem and which will not help you at all, but you will just get into more and more mess. And this happens to everyone. It's not that at least I've made those mistakes. So it happens to everyone.
Exactly. And when you succumb to pressure in such situations, like Mausmi really mentioned it well, that we will then try to solve things for people who are actually creating unless, or I would say, irrelevant pressure on us. But as a leader, I guess the first priority should be business as a whole, organizations, objectives as a whole. So when I say data oriented, the very first data point has to be that you need clarity on the objectives of your organization, the expectations in terms of how they want to scale the team, capacity, even ARR, NRR, when we talk key metrics and all, be clear on that, right? So that's how I mentioned it, that be data oriented. It helps you be streamlined and be transparent with your team members, with the leadership, and gives everyone a clarity of how you're moving ahead.
So before we move to the next slide, Raman, I just want to tell everyone who's listening. So when me and Raman started talking about, the topic at hand, the thought process that I had is we need to have, initially we need to put 30-day plan and 60-day plan and like have a checklist and this and that. But what Raman came through, and when we started discussing the human part of becoming a leader and how to behave, how to think through, is so much more important than all those checklists. We, of course, Shivam will be sharing some of the links in the chat section. There are lots of good quality content out there where people have created 30, 60, 90-day plan. But what was not anywhere is the true stories and the challenges and the emotional problems and the behavioral problems and the communication issues that you face when you become a first time leader. And I think the way Raman has put together his thoughts in terms of owning up to his own mistakes and putting it together, I thought this would be so much more valuable for first time leaders to understand what really not to do, What to do, I'm sure you'll figure, because it is also a lot contextual for your business. But what not to do is very, very important, and very relevant, and can only come through when somebody really opens up their books and opens up their hearts to admit to their mistake publicly with everyone else. So thank you very much, Raman, for putting it the way you have, structured the whole conversation.
Thank you so much, Mausmi. And again, there is a lot of, when I say casually, there is a lot of gyan out there. We have a lot of people talking about the positives, but I guess negatives make more positives out of a human as compared to just going through the cold aspects or great aspects or winning stories. But what do we do, or what we never, or when we hear about the stories of losers, how have they really impacted the ecosystem later on, is something that we should learn. And that is what my mantra has been. And that again, I have learned by, hitting the wall again and again. And then that's why, rising up. But I felt this is something that a lot of people face, but they don't kind of talk about it openly.
That's what happens in every Bollywood movie. The hero first gets beaten up and then comes out as hero. So that's the story. So we do have, the basic checklist and 30, 60, 90-day plan that we'll discuss towards the end. And Shivam will share enough links on the chat as well. So, okay, so our hero is still getting beaten up. Let's move to the next slide. Yes, Raman.
So the law of the forced efficiency, that there is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important. And here, I guess, what I would want to mention it outrightly is have the power to prioritize things. Again, you are bombarded with lots of things in one go. You have to figure out problems in the team. You have to figure out OKRs. You have to figure out collaboration with sales, because that's an age-old story. Sales is not talking to us, wrong sales and everything. Product not hearing us. So there is a lot happening now, and then major customers leaving us. Now here, if you kind of, again, try to fix everything in one go, it's a problem. So take a step back, prioritize your things, that what is the need of the hour? If the team is splitting really badly, the team dynamics are not really working well, focus on team members, talk to them, hear them out. And in parallel, look at their tasks, understand whatever task that they are doing. Because a lot of CSMs say that we are burnt out, we are doing a lot, we are clocking in over hours, Raman, what to do? I cannot take this anymore. They are kind of burnt out, crazy. But then you as a leader have to take a step back and tell them that, hey, I know that in 12 hours, you're working 14 hours. You are doing 15, 16 different tasks as of today. But have you ever thought that out of these 16 tasks, how much are these impactful from a business perspective? And some things can definitely wait. So why are they not waiting? Why do you want to do it every day? Rather do certain tasks that have higher impact in a much quality way, as compared to focusing on short-term wins and kind of doing it right away, which might not have a very bigger impact. But that is the reason I kind of always focus on this way, prioritize things which have better impact or more impact on a business perspective and are more aligned to your business goals, not as compared to what you feel might be right. Use the data which I was talking about earlier, use it, understand what is the need of the hour. Basis that, prioritize your 4-5 tasks, and now understand how much time is it going to take. So that is the reason short-term goals, and trust me, short-term goals are going to change. They will change. Today, I might say that, okay, I want to fix my mid-market segment. Tomorrow, I might get an option. I say, no, wait, let me work on enterprise. These things are gonna happen, but they should not deviate you from your actual focus on improvising on your business goals, team dynamics, as well as that customer-centric culture you want to inculcate in the organization. So that is the reason we say focus on your customers and your business. They are the ones through which you will drive your business objectives, OKRs, and that is going to scale from a long-term perspective to showcase value that you brought into the organization after achieving it, instead of just saying that, hey, I saved 1 customer, I saved 2 customers, I'm able to make my customer success managers happy. It's good to make them happy. But with that happiness, how are you impacting the business on a overall perspective? So you have to now think macro. Earlier, you were thinking micro, which was profile level, which was your portfolio level, which was just related to you as a CSM, as a manager CSM. Now, it's not you, it's us, it's we, it's the team. So that's where you focus more from a business perspective, prioritize so that you get time to do the most important thing and don't get burnt out.
Having said that, they will change. So don't worry about it.
The dynamics are that
Yes.
the dynamics are gonna change, because
Absolutely.
it's volatile. So you don't have a say, and that's reality.
That's fine. That's okay.
Exactly.
As long as you make sure you are prioritizing. Priorities can always change, but definitely prioritize. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. So does everybody, like each one of us, when we are handling a team, they're like crazy situations, something or the other will always be on fire. There'll be somebody who will have a lot of problems and wants a solution tomorrow. There will always be some happy customers, some not so happy customers and need a solution like this. There will always be things, but as long as we prioritize and of course adjust to the environment as it changes.
Correct.
So
yeah,
law of forced efficiency.
yes. And just to again add on to Ankit's question, I haven't forgotten that. So first was, Ankit, data-oriented approach. Second is the power of prioritization. How do you actually prioritize things and connect it with the large large picture of
Business
aligning with
goals,
the business.
absolutely. Perfect. Let's move to the next slide.
Right. So now these are the main challenges, that we have been talking about challenges, but let's kind of, put it in a slide and talk. And again, please share your, comments in the comment box and tell me that are these the challenges that you have also faced in your leadership roles, or there might be others which I might not have captured, because again, startups, the way problems might be coming there might be different as compared to some big, well-structured organizations, right? So there might be difference of opinions. We do respect that. So please share that with us so that we can also look into it and discuss on that. So I guess very worst thing would be trying to retain with tactics that are not customer centric, because sometimes as when you are getting into a company from a CS leadership perspective, the ongoing situation might be that they are just doing bandage problems, wherein they are like, my product is fine, the IC, and they're just keep changing the ideal customer profile, because they are not sitting well as per their product, but they're not willing to understand that the product is not giving value to the end customers, due to which the adoption is low or it's not customer centric. So again, with your data thought process, with your research, you need to showcase, the organization leadership that the problem is that we are just customer centric. The product roadmap, again, it's a small example. Product roadmap or lifecycle should be aligned with what our customers want to achieve with the platform, but not what we want them to achieve. There's a difference, right? Absolutely. And it has to be aligned.
In fact, CS team, like the most successful companies are those where CS team has a strongest viewpoint in terms of what product roadmap should be.
That's
because
correct.
if you haven't acquired new customers, they are not there in the picture yet. But the customers that you have acquired are paying you, and the expectations of those customers will actually make sure you get new ones as well. Those are your users who will actually give you direct feedback, all the UI research and UX research and feature research. You are sitting on top of that huge landmine of data. And I think if you're able to put the right kind of data centric capability of collating that information and communicating it to product, I think that can be the strongest power for any business whatsoever.
That's correct. And that's the reason, I guess, if you look at the second one, like collating customer data, you're talking about, it is very important, because in any organization, maybe in their journey of 0 to 1, 1 to 10, even 10 to 100, customer data collation is a very big problem. And I have personally faced that in my experience, because when I joined, and I have been in companies wherein they have been into 0 to 1, 1 to 10, or 10 to 100. 0 to 1, I guess things are wherein, it's all scattered, it's all everywhere. And you come in as that force of magnet who is going to pull all data towards you and make sense out of it. So there is work that is needed. You can't get data that easily if there is no ecosystem involved altogether. Call it out. But first thing is that you need to collate the data. You need to have a single SOT, the source of truth, for customer data, so that everyone can just look at that particular document, Excel sheet, or any platform that you plan to purchase for customer success, to get the actual sense of where they are. And basis that, you build strategies, you build decisions. But if you just make decisions basis 2-3 customers who might be high paying and say that they are going to direct it, trust me, it's not going to work. Because then the product is there in their ecosystem, you are not doing anything. just working for them.
Correct.
But as a CS, we expect that using their knowledge of usage with your knowledge on the product, how you guys can come brainstorm and share that with the product so that they get the practical nuance of how a product is being used and how customers are interacting and talking about the product in a positive or a negative way. That's where you need to collate customer data and build that data management layer to be very strong for taking decisions. Then I will, yeah.
Let me just chime in a little bit. When Raman is talking collating customer data, that does not mean you have to wait to buy an expensive tool or fancy solution. You can do it with Excel sheets. You can just get started with it. Do not wait for some fancy solution. There is no fancy solution. You can just get started. Start working with your data. The most fanciest solution is initially, of course, day one. Get everything on your Excel sheet. Start creating basic pivots, analysis out of it. You can get all your tools eventually. But step one has to be like, let's understand what I have right now. So don't wait for it, and that cannot be the reason why you're not being data centric. Of course, it helps, but that's not necessary.
No, that's
and third point, Raman, is so it's the burning question now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. CSM org doesn't matter anymore. Why do we have them in place? They just call people, right? So this could be done by anyone. What are they bringing onto the table? It's just a cost center. The new, I would say, fashion or new realm of words that have come out for CSS. It's a cost center. But I personally feel that as a CS leader, when you are collating customer data and you are data oriented, you have collated everything. I guess here you as a person, as a flag bearer, come into action and tell the leadership with the existing data that how CS is really creating an impact. Customers don't retain by themselves.
No.
Customers don't get to see value by themselves. And customers would never realize how the product is impacting their own business objectives. That is the key role a CSM would always play so that the customer is realizing ROI. Trust me, I personally have gotten on calls with customers and they say that, hey, you know what? I am not getting value. And then getting on a call with leadership, they might say that, you know what, Raman, CS team is becoming a cost center. I don't know what's really happening. We are just getting people, but there is no output. But that's where you make them realize that, by the way, I guess the actual revenue that you are looking at as of today, the revenue is from the CS. Because sales, again, there is no doubt that these guys work so hard and give us revenue. CS is working hard to ensure that revenue is safe in your kitties. It's not moving out. And that as a CS leader, you can tell. But again, words don't create impact. Actions does, and so does data. So you have to showcase data, showcase what I personally have done in my previous years is that I would pick up top 5 enterprise customers or mid-market customers. Again, just taking an example. Tell them that how we have retained them by showcasing value, by analyzing their data, having those account plan sheets built within them so that we tell our customers, if they are investing, again, not spending, investing $100 or $200 on us, they are getting a return of $400 to $500, calculating it with percentages and showcasing that. And it's not just shooting arrows in the dark. It's factual. That's the reason customers would trust you. And that's how the leadership would also trust you when you say that, look, this is the impact. But if you're not able to showcase impact and simply say that, hey, because of us, NPS is great, and all, it is going to be, say, for example, it is going to be really helpful. But that is not going to work or turn out. So that would be about the CSM org. And then customers are not paying on time. I guess that's an age-old problem that everyone faces. So customers churning, customers aren't paying on time and also giving up altogether. This is as a leader that you have to kind of avoid. These are certain roadblocks, you would say, but you can get over these. So I would say that these are challenges that you would have seen. But as a CS leader with data, prioritization, and being aware, you definitely can get over these problems or challenges. But again, let's discuss on the other slides about how we can do that.
So this is a very short-term approach. If a company leadership really thinks that CS is a cost center and not useful, unfortunately, a lot of it has happened because of the pressures that have been coming. And the negative impact of reducing CS team is not visible immediately. It takes 12 months, right? The renewal cycle. And then you see the impact. So as CS leaders, our jobs essentially is to make sure we, what Raman said, put data on top, make sure you explain it to them. And hopefully people now are realizing, because a lot of investors are asking for, what is your NR, right?
Correct.
What is your retention rate? They're asking these numbers, which means that the value of CS team is increasing. Also, if you would have read of latest news of all the big SaaS companies, they are missing their targets.
Correct.
When you're missing your target, the most important thing that becomes, messed up sentence. The thing that becomes most important is retention, because acquiring new customers is always very hard, and if you're missing your target, at least hold on to what you already have. And who is going to do that? CS teams, of course. And when I was reading last few days of so many Salesforce, Workday, HubSpot, so many companies missing their targets, I was also reading parallelly that a lot of them have reasonably invested in sales, and that is very, very interesting. So it's, of course, it's happening in very large companies, and the trends will take some time before it comes to
Correct.
mid market and SMB companies. But the point is, that's what the world is going forward, and our job is to enable our leaders to make them understand that, what, this is your lifeblood. This is the heart of the business. CS team is the heart of the business that keeps pumping blood and keeps you alive, and that's very, very important. All right, next slide, Raman. I know I speak a lot. I will try to control that.
All right. I guess, it was gold, but let's now talk about the steps, I guess. And I guess a lot of people would be aware about these first steps that you would want to overcome with any problems, like, focusing on results over value. Again, as I've been focusing again and again, that you have to be data oriented in your approach. So you need to showcase results that are more resonant to customers' objectives instead of just telling them about the product. So I'll just give you one example here, which again I faltered on. I felt when we are talking about in business reviews, when we are trying to showcase results to customers or value, I would want to tell them that, hey, your support tickets are less, or I would tell them that, hey, we looked at the product and it was having an uptime of 99%. There were no bugs reported from you. You had a login, you were logging in every day. You were spending 2-3 hours every day on the product, which means it's a good product for you, right? It's great. But I guess that was a very wrong approach. These are stepping stones to help customers use your product. But when I talk about results, it has to be that, hey, you spent 3 hours on the product on a daily basis. You were able to save 7 hours on the manual tasks that you were doing, due to which you could use them in more productive hours, which would help you generate revenue. Again, I'm just giving you an example. But this kind of pitch that resonates to their business goals would really help a customer realize value instead of just talking about things that have worked from you from a platform perspective or your own product perspective. And that then, second point, definitely be proactive and aware. That is also very important, that you need to understand how your customers are using your product. How much are you aware of the trends on issues that are being reported on your product, that so that the product team could be aware of that. How much are you aware of the bugs that are, again, that might have the same trend? And again, I have also seen in my personal experience that when certain segment of customers are raising issues, they might be different. A certain segment might be facing issue with a specific feature as compared to another segment. An enterprise might be facing an issue with reporting, whereas an SMB might be facing issue with certain nuances of your product. The features are different. Now, how do you guys filter that and make it more impactful and share it with the product? That's the sign of a leader. Because see, for CSMs, if I talk for us, every problem is a problem. So we will just share it. But as a leader, you need to understand that which problem is actually a problem, which problem has a bigger impact, which problem might have more implications. Filter it out and have a discussion with your peers in the product team and the dev team and fix it out. Again, this was just an example. And then understanding your customer base, and just below that, you see segment your customers. That's very important, because every customer cannot be given same due time that you are putting in. And trust me when I say that sometimes you end up giving more time to certain customers who are not giving you a bigger revenue, which not have a bigger impact. and might end up giving lesser time to customers that were actually impactful, that would have actually been very important from a business ecosystem. That would only come up when you come up with a segmentation cycle or a segmentation guideline that you can create that helps you identify where you should be spending time a lot. And trust me, its benefits are manifold. First thing, your team would never get into a situation of burning out because now they know that in their stipulated hours, where their focus areas
These are the ones.
Yes, and also which things can really wait.
Correct.
So that they don't end up doing everything on a single day, right? Then they also learn they also learn this art of saying no. That's very important, and that can only come when you are kind of understanding your customer base, when you segment your customers, and that's to whom I say no means no. Simple, right? And when I want to take up something, I'll simply get on calls and understand because certain things and nuances would be very important from ecosystem perspective. Certain things, again, it's not derogating customers, but it's kind of saying that the company has invested in you as individuals from CS perspective and team perspective. How do you kind of ensure that the time is really giving the value on their investment at the end of the day? That's where you segment customers. So every customer is important, no doubt. But how much do you have to give them time is a decision that a leader has to come through. And that's how we do it so that every customer gets their work done and gets the important. But this is very, very important. And again, Ankit, the third trait for you is understanding the customer base and segmenting your customers. This is very important. And this would be the third one that I would kind of list out so that you can accordingly take decisions and take bigger decisions for the team as well as the organization.
Okay,
And
Raman,
now
little bit of time check. It's almost 8:50. Okay.
Okay, let's then rush it through. Lesser examples. Let's rush it through now. But I guess the last
love the way
one.
you put that, but I love the way you put it together. Art of saying no.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the reason, what is going to work for you as a leader. It's your data-oriented approach. Shift fast and evolve. And this is something that I've learned again with my experience as a leader in one of the companies. I thought, again, when I was taking up this leadership role, my think was that I will kind of say that I will make a process to perfection and then ship it. It has to be perfect. It cannot be something wherein I will say that it's not working out or I need to take time. But as the time goes by, you need to understand that you need to ship fast so that you can evolve, you can learn and build some more strong processes. So that's actually, the game changer here. 360 collaboration is you need to collaborate with all the team members, sales, marketing, and trust me, this collaboration helps you not only to kind of be aware of what's happening, but benefits your customer as well. You can talk to marketing, get testimonials. You can come up with marketing or get a plan with marketing and create some really good collaterals that could be shared with your customers. With sales, definitely, helping you in upsell and all. With product, helping them be aware of what is required. Being a team player who hears out everyone's suggestion. You need to hear out everyone. You just can't be blank ears to anyone because as a leader, as I mentioned, you're also a mentor, wherein the responsibilities increase. So be there for them. They should get that feeling the way you used to get a feeling with your manager, with your mentor that, hey, if I do something wrong, if I goof up, he's there to help me. Similarly, you have to, play that role. So you have to do that. Second, and lastly, setting goals and constant one. Be clear about your goal setting. It has to be in alignment with the business goals and constantly monitor it so that, you are aware where you are falling short. Take decisions proactively instead of waiting for the D-Day and then kind of, reinventing the wheel. Rather, kind of be on constant lookout of identifying loopholes, identifying red flags, take decisions accordingly. That's the reason. Setting goals, be aware, and do constant monitoring.
Not chiming in.
Thank you so much for that.
Do you want to take a question, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. And guys, don't worry, we'll share the slides.
Okay, so we have a question from Mohammed Asif. He asks that as a first-time leader and a newly turned leader, how do I identify and develop the strengths of individual team members to maximize their potential? What are the most effective coaching techniques for helping team members improve their performance and achieve their goals?
Great question. And I had a very different take on this. Trust me, Mohammed. So what I did, In my first role, I flunked very badly because I created perceptions of people, and I was like, oh my God, everyone is prepping, so they are not kind of working. But I guess after learning a lot, you need to understand the characteristic of an individual. Say, for example, you have an 8-member team. You need to spend time with them individually to understand them well. You need to understand what motivates them. Trust me, I have gone to this extent to ask questions. When you wake up in the morning, what level of music would really motivate you? Is it rock? Is it chill step? Is it relaxing? That helps you understand the temperament of a person from a individual perspective. Then their strengths, how are they? Are they really fine with data? Are they really fine with communication skills? Identifying these traits, communication, data orientation, individuality as their temperament, that only would come when you're spending time doing one-on-ones. And in your initial, I would say, phase, the first 90 days, the so-called first golden 90 days, we always say that you need to know your team members. I personally, what I do is I keep one-on-ones weekly basis with everyone so that I can understand them much better. Sometimes I would not miss those one-on-ones. Sometimes even if I don't have an agenda, I'll just say that, hey, what are your tasks today? Let's kind of work on this one and involve me in that. I want to work closely with you and understand. That would also help you understand their problem-solving capabilities. Are they really cribbing about handling problems, or are they really motivated? Oh, this is another brainstorming thing. Let me just fix it. That would help you understand key strengths of every team member. And that's where you can use everyone as an asset in any process that you feel they could kind of star in. That's how I kind of work with my team members and my colleagues, so that even after knowing their strengths and weaknesses, I can kind of help them on their weakness, but use their strengths to improvise on the processes that we build. But hope that answers your question.
Absolutely aligned with what Raman said. So when I was integrating that 80 people team across countries, the first thing I did was, even before integrating the team, I said I want to talk to everyone, and I did 80 individual calls, and those calls were at least 1 hour. So you can just sort of run away with saying something for 15-20 minutes, but you have to talk to someone for an hour. You will come up with all the things that you have to say. And I spent time with every team member before trying to collate and understand which of these people can probably grow, which of these people can go to next level, which of these are not so much there yet. Not only that, I talked to every, this was a complete structure there, right? So I talked to every level about the team before. And the first thing I did in that business was internal skills map. It was a different kind of business, so skills map made sense for them. And we did a detailed analysis of every individual, not only from the point of view of their current boss, but also my own perspective, because I had a chat with them 1 hour talking about what they do day in, day out. Exactly what Raman said. I'm so surprised and really overwhelmed that we both have exactly the same point of view and have gone through same experiences while trying to understand. And when you do that, a lot of things will become very clear of
Correct.
How to take them, which of these people are ready to go to next level, which of these people need a little more coaching and understanding. A lot of things will become very, very crystal. And of course, after that, setting up one-on-one, of course 80 people I couldn't have done regularly, but I was doing my L-1 and L-2
Correct.
every month,
Yeah.
month for L-3, L-1 every week. So we set those cadences and I made sure I met everybody, because a lot of insights that would come and gives me understanding of how to help these people. So your question is completely, answered, I think, in those terms of both our experiences.
Yeah.
All
So
right, Shivam, is there any other question? And I hope we have answered. If we have not, please feel free to ask additional questions. Shivam?
Yeah. Yes. We have one more question. I want to make transition from key account manager to a customer success manager. Which things should I consider and take care of?
all right. So again, as a key account manager to a customer success, pretty interesting question, because these days a lot of organizations are hiring CSMs and they are doing key account management and vice versa. But I guess the difference in key account management and customer success is that here, the association is in key account management. Again, I can be wrong, but as per my observation, it's more sales driven. In customer success, it's more results driven. It's more association and relationship driven. So when we say, what you would want to focus on is that how, as a CS, would you start working at a 12-month journey of a customer? And in that 12-month journey, how will you showcase value to them, which is not related to, say, for example, increasing sales, but is related to the customer's business objectives, so that your focus is that the customer should be getting value. Your focus should not be retention or upsell from a sales perspective. Your focus is not target. Your focus is to focus on helping the customer realize value, helping the customer realize the ROI. And how can you do that? Is doing your own set of research with the customer. When I say data oriented, look at the usage data of the customer. Look at documents. If there is relevant information about customer, what are their expectations? What is the North Star metric? What are they trying to achieve from the platform? And how much time are you taking to achieve certain goals? Like how are you able to break those in the entire major goal into smaller milestones and showcase the progress towards that? That would be, an art or a skill of a CS that is very important, so that the customer can look at you as a trustworthy resource, not just another sales guy who's kind of selling or trying to sell with his consultation, but trying to be their advocate in this organization, that they are realizing value. And if you are able to do that, trust me, upsell retention is going to come automatically. And I have done that in the past, and it has worked for me like a charm. But these are certain things that I would focus on when I would want to transition to CS. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, great.
All right,
I think, guys, we can move ahead with the slides.
Okay, all right then. What will not work? I love the part unsolicited sales. There's so much talk about, CS team needs to be revenue centric, and I completely agree with that thought process. But being and doing that, along with that, it's very important that you don't just go and become salesy and start doing unsolicited sales unless it's valuable for the customer.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the bottom line, I think.
It has to check the places, right? That if certain things are aligned, again, I have been using this multiple times, but it is very important that you need to be aligned with customers' objectives at the end of the day. Because if they look or they get value, they will stick. There is no one who is going to spend another, thousands of dollars or any other platform to get it implemented. I'm just taking an example. But if they're happy, they're looking at value, they are getting ROI. Why would someone change? It's same as if you are owning a car. If it is driving well, you will drive it, you will love it. It's not, trust me, you will shift it the very next day. Yes, there will be problem, but you will get over it. Same is the case. But again, tell the customer what they require and which is aligned with their goals. That would also help you, not unsolicited sales or revenue numbers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you want to elaborate on any of these points, or shall we?
I guess they are pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We can move ahead because everyone is aware, and we have been talking about this through the start.
Yes.
So actionable tips.
This, I think, is very important. I think this is something we should definitely talk about.
Yes. So I guess I did mention about this, understanding the North Star metric for customers. This is very important these days from a customer value demonstration point of view. Why? Because what is a North Star metric? Firstly, North Star metric is something that a customer's expectation is from the product. This is what they plan to achieve from the product or their business goals. So you need to get a clarity. And trust me, if you're aware about the North Star metric or the expectations, it will help you chalk the entire journey of the customer if they are with you for 12 months or so on. Because now you are aware of that major goal. You can break the steps in easier fashion that can help you achieve those goals. Similarly, you can align their onboarding, you can align their engagement in exact fashion that is aligned to that North Star metric, because this is what they want to hear from us. How well are we doing in terms of achieving their goals, not achieving our own goals? Our goal has to be their goal. Trust me. We can't just say that the product is doing well. The definition is product is doing well because we were able to help you achieve your own business goals. That's the true definition of product doing well. And that is the reason understanding a North Star metric is very important. Plus, it also helps you understand the trends between the customers, that majority of your customers, are they having the same North Star metric, which also gives you confidence in your ideal customer profile as well, that, hey, you have hit the mark. You've hit the target. Now the point is just let them know the value. That's the way, and that's helpful. Then jumping on creating a plan for customers to achieve that result. It's very important, as I was mentioning. When I say planning, what I usually have done personally in my years is that we try to create some critical customers. Firstly, we identify certain critical customers for the organization, build a complete document around it. We call it account plan, some might call it business document, some might call it strategic document. But the plan is that this has to have outline of the entire history of the customer, why they have bought you, what are their expectations, what were the previous pain points of the customer, how their training has been done, what are the key stakeholders, who's who actually, who is who in the customer side. Basis that, then you kind of formalize on what and with whom you have to talk frequently, who is going to be your own brand champion, who is going to be your brand advocate or a SPOC with whom you're going to talk daily, and what is the level of engagement that you want to keep with them. That is going to be key stake here. And then when you're discussing all that, when you plan, the key thing here is put a milestone that is measurable in its nature. If that milestone is not measurable and tangible in its own nature, then it's all talk. Trust me, if the customer is not getting a graphical view of starting from point A, getting to point B, what is the time it took? What is the expected time to go from B to C? That is what they're interested in. They're not interested in there is 10 support tickets, you resolve them in 1 day, 2 days. Trust me, it's not going to help. This is the way the customers are looking at getting value. And these plans help you give them value because it has historicals, it has forecasts, it helps you maintain what are you going to do currently to help them, increase the product. And with such approach, one major thing that I personally have overcome with me and my team is customer ghosting. Customers will ghost you, will not get on calls if they're not getting value. But if we are going with this strategic approach of telling them that, hey, today we are going to discuss this milestone, not about what product is going to give you, they would jump on calls, they would revert on emails, they will not ghost you. But if it is just a generic information, not going to help you. Then 90-day plan, I guess we're going to discuss about it in the next slide. Actionable step for 90-day plan. I guess this is pretty important.
This is something which I think is very specific to businesses, and most people are more than capable of making it themselves. Yeah. So we've just put together some highlights. And I think most of the things that are in this slide has been already talked about by Raman during the entire discussion.
Correct. And, just kind of, these are like summarizing the entire thing and putting a timeline towards it, as I was mentioning. That, the first 30 days, as we are mentioning, understand your customers, the book of business, the product, get yourself trained on the product as a CSM, as a support guy, as whatever, but get yourself trained on the product, because until you are not aware how the product functions, you cannot make decisions because you are not aware of the implications of the product and the value that it brings in for the customers. So put your best efforts to understand the product, put time here, invest your time here, processes, understand the present processes. Don't just jump on fixing. Understand what's going on. Like, remember, absorb and observe. Focus what's going on, absorb information, make notes, or kind of, keep a track of things. Don't change anything right away. Just understand what's going on in the current ecosystem. And customers, I personally prefer that in my initial first 30 days, I'll try to talk to some enterprise level, SMB level, mid-market level, depending on how customers are segmented. Try to talk to them or even attend their calls just to understand their purview on the product and how they are performing, what kind of issues they are talking about. It gives you a better understanding of how the customers are perceiving the product and helps you build plans for the next 30 days or so. These are certain things, but again, it can shift basis the type of business and the type of product you might be dealing with.
And one thing that I believe can really help understand a lot of things when you go through your own onboarding process. Correct. I think if you can't go through as an independent customer, you can just join an onboarding process with just starting, new customer, and be part of all the meetings and all the discussions, and walk step by step with them. That will really give you a very good understanding of where things are not right and what needs to be corrected. And also first person perspective instead of feedbacks from 10,000 people telling you 10,000 things.
Exactly. And that also inculcates biasness towards certain aspects because you already are knowing it. I have also I couldn't agree more to you that get yourself involved in the first training calls, the first onboarding calls, so that you can be involved with how a customer is being treated is being understood and how the customer is planning their journey, the CSM team is planning their journey. And that's where you can I actually get the real insights. But this is the first 30-day action plan that you should be focusing on.
And of course, next 30 to 60 day, as Raman said, prioritize, plan. Very, very important.
It is very important because I guess the initial 30 days would have given you a gist of what is the present structure in terms of team, book of business, profile, customers. Now you need to kind of analyze the metrics and observations, and kind of prioritize the first top 5 problems. How do you do that? Top 5 problems would only come when you are understanding that what are the implications of these problems on the business strategy. How well or what is the level of impact that they might have, and accordingly prioritize it. It could be anything wherein you have a leaky bucket. It could be unsatisfied customers. It could be product it could be anything, trust me. It could be even team dynamic problems, collaboration problems. But, the mantra behind this is understand the impact of these problems on the business ecosystem and accordingly come with these problems. And now you prioritize. But yeah, Mausmi, you were saying.
Prioritize should definitely be backed by data.
That's correct.
Otherwise, that priority is useless. So
yeah,
prioritize with data. Always, as Raman said, data is your strongest friend in this job.
Yeah. And it will not only help you survive, it will help you thrive. Like I was mentioning in my first slide, because it is the only thing that is going to stay with you throughout. It's irrespective of anything, right? So when you are prioritizing things, problems on the biggest impact and urgency, you need to think through that if I've found the top 5 problems, what is the timeline that I'm giving to it? And how do I prioritize? And what is the level of engagement I need from my team members, from other department team members, depending on the problems, and then using data to showcase and presenting this to the leadership. Because here, leadership has invested so much, they also need to see what is going on and how are you going to achieve. Because saying things could be done by anyone. But as a leader, how much are you utilizing their own set of data and kind of, jumping on conclusions and planning the broader picture would be the key game. Then you prioritize. And after you have prioritized, you plan, plan, do, act, and check or A/B test. This is something that is very important. When I say plan, you would have also seen somewhere I said ship fast. Sometimes when you have prioritized things and you're building up processes, don't wait for attaining perfection to a certain time. Sometimes you have to ship fast in your planning area, because when you will ship fast, you'll understand the loopholes. You'll understand where you might not be thinking the right way, and you can evolve. Evolution is important, learning is important, but attaining perfection and then shipping is something wherein you are already delaying time, which can impact your major impactful decisions. So plan, do a check on how things are working basis your plan, and then monitor it. That the way you have planned things and focusing on implementing it, how much is it well versed and aligning with your expected goals? If it is not, take a step back, think through. That's the reason we have also mentioned A/B tests. Sometimes you kind of need to A/B test your approach. It's not necessary in this dynamic world. One thing fits all, and one plan would work for everyone. There might be flaws. You test it out. You say, okay, this is not going to work. I have data. Let me, create a hypothesis based on this data. Let me reinvent this. That's the power, or that's the, I would say, important trait of a leader who has this confidence to do A/B test basis, the data that you are having from the organization, and having that confidence to take the team along to say that, okay, you know what, we're going to do this. If it doesn't work, I have plan B. If it doesn't work, I have plan C. But that's how you evolve. That's the beauty of evolving. And then team, right? Define clear measurement criteria. A lot of times I have seen, and I also faltered in this, that we have a team, we just tell them, hey, our goal is that we will create 110% NRR. We have to achieve NRR of 110%. Oh, that's great. But Raman, what do we need to do? Figure it out. But then, Raman, what are you going to do? I'm going to create OKRs. I'm going to create goals for you. But as a leader, you have to take a step back when you are telling them that, look, I came with this goal that we need to achieve NRR of 110%, 115%, depending on your organization size. But these are the top 3 things that we should be doing basis our interpretation. Talking to customers, or there is an upsell opportunity, or the customer is not using this feature, might be a paid feature, sits perfectly well with their business objectives. What are we doing? Why are we not talking about it? Giving them these indications so that they can do a drill down research on their existing accounts, again get in touch with you. So your job doesn't finish by just telling them their goals. Your job is, while you tell them goals, you have to push them to the finish line. And that would happen when you're talking regularly to the team and helping them understand that with each initiative, what is the calculated impact. And that's how you can achieve your goals more easily, confidently, as compared to just saying that, do this, we'll touch base in a month and see the progress. Trust me, it's not going to work.
And when your team touches base, take that impact and definitely present it to your leadership, because at times we almost forget to do that as well.
Correct.
The impact that you are bringing has to be measurable, and then of course present it to your leadership team with data, not just we think we have improved the process. Doesn't work.
Exactly.
Put the numbers, put the data, things that you have achieved, put that on the table, so there cannot be any dispute about the measurable impact that you are bringing to overall business value. So both team and leadership aligned with one thread, that is data, and
That's
putting
correct.
impact on top of it. I think that's just adding a thread to what Raman has already said. Nothing new.
Yeah.
And of course, now we are on the last slide. Get your plan up and running.
Exactly. Now we have reached that phase that you have done that, heard a lot of stuff. You're already kind of saying that. But until this time now, you should, I would say, have clarity on a lot of critical stuff like customers, team, dynamics, collaboration, as well as the product. Now, with all of this information in your mind and documented in a way, could be Excel, could be a platform depending on how you are structuring it, but collating it as a SOT. And now, as I mentioned, you're documenting your plan. Talk about the next steps with your leadership or the stakeholders. Help them understand that, okay, these are certain information that I've gathered on basis this, these are the plans, these are the top 5 aspects that I'm going to touch at, and this is the way we are going to run. And every month we will be doing a call telling you progress, showcasing you progress, or even if it is not, telling you where we are faltering so that we are improving ourselves. So as I mentioned, the third point, measure and improve. Continuously measure from day one how you are performing. Trust me, I have seen situations wherein I had implemented some things. And just after the first initial 10-15 days, I realized I missed a very important point. I need to take a step back. And I owned up to that mistake. I went up to my co-founders and told them that, hey, you know what? I have done something wrong. I miscalculated something which has impacted my, research. I have recalibrated. We have lost 10 days. It's okay. But this is how we should be moving. It will take another 10 days to achieve it. But this is the correct way to do it. So that's where you own it up. So put aside those blinkers, but put on your thinking hat throughout with the data and being aware. Because if you're measuring it, you are at a better position to identifying loopholes and not being dependent on others. Let not others tell you what's the problem. You should be the one who's identifying problem and helping others understand what should be done. Right. And then take feedback. Again, we talked about being humble in the very first slide. Take feedback. And no feedback is, bad. Every feedback is gold. May it be a person talking negative about you, which means that you need to focus on some things that you can, fix about yourself. So I always crave for feedback like crazy from my team members, from my leadership, because I want to know. I'm not a guy who is Mr. Know All. I will be, doing mistakes. There could be problems in my thought process as well. Need to hear it out so that I can recalibrate. So take feedback, trust me, it's gold, and it will help you become more mature and confident leader in the near future. And it has helped me, trust me, it has helped me like crazy. So this is like the key goals, I would say. And then focus on one thing at a time, please. Don't try to
always
everything in one go, even in CS, also in life. I've learned this from CS only, that even in life, don't rush through it. Like, take it, it's gonna pass. Like, you have good days, you have bad days. It's gonna pass. But the best is, how are you learning from your bad days so that your good days stay longer? Right? That's the key aspect.
That's all, folks. That's all. I know. I'm sorry we have gone 15 minutes above time, but there was so much to talk. What to do? Thank you very much, Raman. Thanks a lot for putting your entire experience out there for everyone to hear. And thank you very much. And Shivam will share, and if Shivam will share the presentation and everything with the people who have joined. And of course, if you've missed it anyway, we'll also share that. And if you have any more questions that trouble you, please feel free to connect us over LinkedIn. Me and Raman, both of us would be more than happy to help out in any way we can. Shivam,
Yeah, thank you all for lending us your crucial dinner time. It's far too kind of you. And I have given the LinkedIn profiles of Raman and Mausmi in the chat box. If you want to reach out, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them. If you'd like to watch the recording of this webinar, I am just typing the YouTube channel of ZapScale. You can check it out, and the recording of the webinar will be available to you by tomorrow. I will anyway send emails and this presentation slide deck to you over email. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you in the next webinar. Thanks,
Thank
Raman.
you.
Thanks, Mausmi, for an insightful
Thanks,
session.
Raman. Good night, everyone. Have a
Good night,
good
guys.
evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.